Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to continue my series on adapting the fighting fantasy rules to Twine games, and in particular, I would like to demonstrate using luck in battles. So we have a setup very similar, or in fact identical looking to the previous video in this series. I have my character's stats over here, and I have the message: you face two skeletons, and a button to continue. So let's continue. So I have these two skeletons, skill 6, stamina 6. I have to choose which one I'm going to attack. I'll attack that one. I sort of block the first skeleton. I beat its attack strength, but I don't wound it because it's not my chosen target. And then I have wounded skeleton 2. But you might notice that its stamina hasn't been reduced because I have to choose whether I want to use luck or not. The way testing your luck, which is what they call it in the books, the way that works is you will roll 2 dice, or the program will simulate rolling 2 dice in this case. If the result is less than or equal to my current luck score, then I'm lucky. And if it's greater than my current luck score, then I'm unlucky. Often you are sort of forced to do that in the books. And every time you do it, whether you're lucky or not, your luck is reduced by 1. So it sort of presents luck in the way that a lot of sort of pre-modern people thought of luck, and actually the way that a lot of people still think of luck, which is that it's sort of a resource, a quality that you have, in much the same way that you have intelligence or height or whatever, good looks or bad looks or whatever. You sort of have a lot of luck, or you have good luck, or you have bad luck. And if you have good luck, it can sort of run out. Gamblers kind of often think this way. They're on a lucky streak, so they need to keep going, or they're on a bad streak and they need to get off it. Some people, I've noticed from looking at fighting fantasy forums, some people find this, they don't like it. So I've heard a lot of people say, I don't use luck when I'm playing the books. I just roll a dice. If I'm told to test my luck, I just roll a die, and 4 to 6 I count as lucky, and 1 to 3 as unlucky, because they have a modern view of luck, which is, well, it's just the name that we retrospectively give to events based on whether we wanted them to happen or not. If an event that's out of our control happens and we say that it's something we wanted, we say we were lucky, and if not, we say we were unlucky. I like it for the reason that it is an alien way of thinking. It sort of codifies the way that ancient and medieval people probably would have thought of luck. The word for lucky and happy in Old Norse, I believe, are the same word, because ancient people had this idea that you couldn't really do much about your own happiness. It just, you either were sort of, if you were lucky, you'd be happy, good things would happen to you, and if you're unlucky, bad things would happen to you and you'd be unhappy. And I find that quite flavourful, that luck is a thing that you have, and that some people are luckier than others. Anyway, I happen to have quite high luck, so if I roll 2 dice, well, I can't get 12 is the highest I can get, so I'm always going to be lucky. Normally, it's not a good use of your luck to use it in battles, but I'm going to do it this time just for the demonstration purposes. So I clicked that. I got a 10, which is quite high, but I'm still lucky. And so I reduced the skeleton's stamina by 4. So if I do that again, I wounded him. This time I'm just going to... there's no point doing more than 2 damage because he's already got 2 stamina. So I can use luck when I wound an enemy like that. I can also use luck when I am wounded. In that case, if I'm unlucky, I lose 3 stamina, so it's not sort of symmetrical. I don't lose 4 stamina if I'm unlucky. And if I'm lucky, I only lose 1 stamina. Normally you wouldn't do that unless your stamina was very low, because in most cases luck points are more valuable than stamina points, and so sacrificing one luck point to save one stamina point is usually not a very good bargain. If you didn't lose any stamina, or if the enemy lost the round, if you were lucky, it might be more worth doing. It might be more balanced, but I'm not trying to add my own good ideas. I'm just trying to bring across the rules as they exist. Since my skill's quite high, I'm probably not going to lose a combat round, so I won't demonstrate that. But just to let you know that you can use it when you are wounded as well as when you wound someone else. So that's what it does, and of course the battle will continue until either I'm dead or, but what's much more likely in this case, both of the enemies are dead. Let's look at the code that allows it to happen. Once again, I'm not going to go through every line. I'm just going to give you a sort of overview of what each page does. If you saw the last video in this series, you might remember there were far fewer. There were 5 pages, and now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it looks considerably more complex, but most of these pages I probably could have put the code in an existing page. I could have reduced the number of pages if I'd wanted to, but I prefer to have more pages because that makes it easier to explain when I'm explaining on this sort of top level. Really, the main sequence is these 4. And then display enemy is often used because that's used whenever we show pictures of the enemy with their current stats and whatever message we need to pick. And then these 5 really have very little code in them, and I'll explain what they do. They could all have been, those 5 could all have been folded into another page really, but I just thought it was better for the explanation to have them as separate pages. And this new page covers the mechanism of testing your luck, which, as I say, is just roll 2 dice, add them up. If it's less than or equal to your current luck, then you are lucky. If it's greater than your current luck, you're unlucky. In either case, reduce your luck by 1. So we have story caption, which covers this, what happens in the sidebar, basically just displaying the current situation of the player character. We have initialize, which rolls up the character, sets up all the attributes, sets up all the arrays that we need, including the initial values of the enemies. And then we get into the main loop, which, as I said, is that one, that one, that one, that one. So, and then back again if necessary. So let's see what they do. Well, who is left does what it says on the tin. It looks at the stamina of each enemy and says, is it above 0? In other words, are they still in the battle? And it counts how many are still in the battle. And in particular, it says, are there 0, 1, or more than 1? If there's 0, it says you've won the battle. If it's 1, then we don't need to ask the player who they want to target this round because there's only one monster to target, and so it chooses that one as the target. If there's more than 1, we do need to choose the enemy. So we have this page choose enemy, which does nothing but say set M equal to 1 and include the page display enemy. We're going to be going back to display enemy a lot. Display enemy displays the pictures and displays different messages or buttons depending on the value of this variable M. In this case, with M equal to 1, it will have a button underneath each living enemy, each enemy that's still in the battle, and the button will say attack, and the player gets to choose which one they want to attack this round. And that's important because you can only wound the one that you've chosen to attack. So if they do have to choose, when they choose, we will go to this page, PC rolls. Otherwise, we'll be sent automatically to there with the computer saying, "Yep, target the one that's left." PC rolls stands for player character rolls. Is very straightforward. We roll, or we simulate rolling 2 normal 6-sided dice. We add that to our current skill. That's our attack strength. That's all that happens on that page. Once again, I probably could have had this code as part of a different page, but I wanted to have more pages rather than fewer. Then we find next enemy. Once again, that does what it says. We have a variable $E. It starts at 0. We add 1 to it, and we look at the stamina of that enemy. So let's look at enemy 1. Does it have more than 0 stamina, or at least 1 stamina? Yes. Well, it's the next enemy who should be rolling. If it's dead, if it has 0 stamina or less, well, it shouldn't be attacking. So we'll go on to the next enemy. But eventually we'll find an enemy. We'll either find an enemy that's still alive, or we'll run out of enemies. If we run out of enemies, then that means that all enemies have had an attack and the round is over, and we should go back to who is left to see what happens. Otherwise, if we do find a living enemy that hasn't had a roll yet, we should give them a roll. They also roll 2 dice and add their skill the same way we do. And then that will result in one of 3 possibilities. Either their roll beat our roll, their roll beats the player character's roll, in which case they deal a wound, and it will go to display enemy and display the option to accept the wound or use luck. The player character roll will be higher than the enemy roll, and that will be the enemy that the player character is targeting, in which case we've wounded the enemy. And again, we go to display enemy, and we give the player the choice of, do you want to just do the normal wound, or do you want to use your luck to try and do a bigger wound? Or none of the above. So either there'll be a tie, or the player character will have won, but it's not the one they're targeting. In other words, they just successfully defended against that enemy. In that case, we still go to display enemy. We're always going to go to display enemy. It's just that the message is going to be different. The value of $M is going to be different, and that means different things will happen on this page. In that case, we just have a button that says continue, and then we go to the next enemy in line. But let's say that we've either wounded an enemy or been wounded. So, as I say, and as we saw, it displays what happened, and it says you can either just accept the normal wound, or accept that you've delivered the normal wound, or you can roll your luck. And if you, based on what you choose and which situation we're in, you'll go to one of these 4 pages. One where the PC gets a normal wound, which means they lose 2 stamina, and they either get a message going, you're dead, or we move on to the next enemy. This is the situation where we deliver a normal wound, which means that the enemy stamina goes down by 2, and then we find the next enemy. Or these 2 situations. These 2 are ones where we've decided to test our luck. Luck 1 means we're testing our luck when we won the combat round, or we won against that enemy. So in other words, we're trying to deliver a greater wound, and luck lost is when we're using our luck having received a wound and we're trying to reduce that wound. Either way, we will test our luck, and that will simulate rolling 2 dice, create a message to display to give to us on display enemy, the one that we keep coming back to, and it will set $L to either 1 or 0. 1 meaning, yep, they were lucky this time. 0 meaning they were unlucky this time. And then finally, it will reduce luck by 1, the current luck by 1. If and then it will change the stamina based on that. So luck 1 is the one where we beat the monster. So that will either take 4 stamina away from the monster or only 1 stamina away from the monster. And this one, luck lost, is where we've been wounded, and so we will lose either 3 stamina or 1 stamina. 3 if we're unlucky, 1 if we're lucky. Either way, we go to display enemy, and it tells us what happened. It says you were lucky, and it reduces the relevant stamina by the relevant amount. And that's that enemy dealt with for this round. So we need to find the next enemy. We'll either find an enemy, in other words, there'll either be someone left alive who hasn't yet had a roll against us, in which case we go back to enemy rolls and things happen again, or there won't be, in which case we've dealt with all of the enemies, and that should be another round. Well, we should look at who is left. Have we killed them all? Yep, congratulations, you've killed them all. Or no, you haven't. There's still at least one you have to fight. So either you choose an enemy, if there's more than one, or you get assigned the one that's left, and you roll again. You roll a new attack strength. And so it continues until either all the enemies are dead or the player character is dead. And that is, broadly speaking, I'm not going to, again, I'm not going line by line because there's no new programming techniques here. This is all stuff that we've covered in previous videos. That is how combat works with the addition of using luck. And because we've got this test luck page in the game books and in the game books and in the role-playing games that came later, you're often testing luck outside of battles. So test luck should be a separate page. It shouldn't be part of the combat system. It should be, as it is here, a separate page, because we'll need to access that in the course of an adventure in a way that doesn't have anything to do with combat. So it might be that you're, for example, test your luck, and if you're lucky, there's no guards in the passage and you're able to sneak out. If you're unlucky, well, there is a guard in the passage and you're going to have to make a choice about whether you try and bribe the guard or trick the guard or attack the guard or, whatever. So we need to have that as a separate page outside of combat. We also have it as a separate page because we're accessing it from two different pages relating to two different situations. But that fact is going to be useful to us as we, add to the system. And so that is how luck works. We haven't yet done escaping, which is sometimes you get the ability to run away from a battle that you're losing, or that you just don't want to engage in. And I hope to deal with that in a future video. There are other extra rules, mainly from the role-playing game, from one of the 2 role-playing games, which I'm interested in doing. But for now, I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.